Hi there, I'm Tom from Ledgemere Farm. I want to take a moment to talk about my 2019 Mahindra 1635 shuttle shift tractor. I wanted a tractor that was going to be primarily a field tractor here on the farm. It's not necessarily a loader tractor. It does have a loader on it, but this loader is typically something I just use to pick things up and put them down. Loading round bales on or off the trailer, putting them in the barn. Sometimes I put a snow pusher on it in the winter and I'll push the snow with it, but for the most part, it's a field tractor. So the ag tires, in my mind, were a no-brainer for me. I've used the industrial tires, and those industrial tires are perfect for loader operations. You know, they give you high flotation, good traction, they're good on your lawn. You don't want to tear up somebody's yard. But when you need ultimate traction out in the field, you want these R1 tires. That said, when you have a loader on with R1 tires, you want to make sure that you have your front tires very well inflated. These tires now, they're tubeless, and one thing I've noticed in the past is that if you don't have these tires fully inflated, you have a big load in the bucket, you kind of turn the wheel to go somewhere, you'll take that tire right off the rim, and now you've got a loaded bucket of something that you don't necessarily want to dump, and your tire is off the rim. So just a word to the wise, keep your tires fully inflated, or don't make sharp turns. You know, short turns work best, back and forth. I have had Kubotas in the past, and I've had John Deeres. I like all tractors. I kind of grew up with tractors, and you say tractor, my eyes light up. So I don't really have a preference of one machine over another. One of the reasons I went with Mahindra was primarily the location of the dealership, which is Abbott's in East Waterboro. Now, they've been really good to me over the years. They provide excellent service. I've never had an issue. They've come out to the farm here before, brought parts out. I've brought stuff out. They've taken stuff off the lot, you know, to cannibalize a new tractor on the lot or whatever to give me the part I need to keep moving. I haven't had any issues with this tractor except for one thing, which if you see down here, these cables from the joystick, and one of these metal things separated. It's actually, I'm not sure if it's welded or soldered to that box, but it came loose, so they made a field repair on it while I'm waiting on the parts. And my guess is that it's an updated part because they didn't have the same thing on the lot, and that was something that, you know, I find typical with all makes and models. I had a John Deere one time, the couplers were bad from the factory, and then they had an updated part. So I kind of feel like a lot of these you know, these parts are just something they all use. They just put them on differently, paint them a different color. So, so one of the second reasons I bought a Mahindra was compared to the John Deere and the Kubota of the same size, it had more features for less money. I had a really nice seat that's very comfortable. It's got these plastic here, so you're not getting a lot of crap back on you, and particularly underneath the seat, there's metal here that kind of protects you when you're bush hogging. And I had a Kubota, and great tractor, but when I was bush hogging, all that debris, you know, as it was being pulverized by the bush hog, most of it went to the back, but you still had some blowing up to the front. So this whole area here was just full of chaff and garbage, which, you know, it's not a thing with this. It has tilt wheel. There's a hydraulic remote, which was an add-on. You know, Kubota or John Deere will give you that as an add-on. It has the steel hood, which Kubota has, but not John Deere. And again, I'm not a big fan of plastic hoods. I've had them with lawn and garden tractors with John Deere, and they don't dent, they don't rust, but after a period of time, the plastic, I'm sorry, becomes brittle, and then it doesn't take a lot to break that plastic. And so it's like, geez, I either get dents or I get broken plastic, and so I can pound out a dent and paint it. Broken plastic, you got to buy a new hood or duct tape it or something. So I like metal. The fenders are metal. The only thing that's not metal here is this fender flare. This is metal, and you know, the lights are all recessed. Everything is in good shape here. I don't necessarily care for the fuel tank up here, but I have a skid tank for diesel, so I just take the hose and fill it. But if I was carrying a 5-gallon diesel can, you know, you got to kind of finagle it up here and you're gonna end up getting diesel all over yourself, and I'm just not a big fan of that. I like the tanks on the back. You know, if I was gonna be carrying a gas can with me. The hood has gas struts on it, so it opens nicely. There's the grill guard has these two little spring loaded things, so you pull it out and the grill goes forward. Bucket level indicator. Some people love them. To be honest with you, I've never really relied on a bucket level indicator, and to be honest with you, they get ripped off in the woods and doing, you know, just farm stuff. Eventually that gets caught on something and you take it off and you throw it in the junk pile. John Deere has its proprietary front hitch on it, and so it has a method of pins and, you know, little lynch pins and two pegs, which doesn't take skid steer attachments. You have to buy a skid steer adapter plate. Now if you get that from John Deere, that could cost you $1,200. So in addition to the tractor, now you got to buy a $1,200 additional piece of equipment that you have to put on to use something else, unless you buy all John Deere proprietary front end attachments, which I didn't have. I already had skid steer type attachments. You know, I've got the brown bale spear and the snow pusher, the forks, the bucket, and it's just a hassle. And so with Kubota as well, they come with a pin-on bucket, and they charge you extra for the skid steer plate, which is a universal skid steer plate, but you gotta fork that up. So for the bang for the buck and the features, I really like the Mahindra. And you know, like I said earlier, in my mind, all tractors are good. They all have good qualities. They all have some bad qualities. But if you have a dealer nearby or a dealer that you like, to me that's the deal clincher. Because if you buy something from some dealer and you got a smoking deal, and they're jerks, and you know they don't want to talk to you after you buy something, then you're kind of out there, you know, hanging. But I bought this tractor primarily because of the dealership and the support and the reputation. They've been in business for a long time. My father used to buy stuff. My siblings buy stuff from them. They're just a great dealership. So, you know, that's one of the selling points of this tractor in my mind. These wheels were reversible, so these were swapped. I swapped them from front to back, or side to side, and that gave me a wider stance. These back wheels are fully adjustable. You can dish them in, dish them out. There's like 6 positions on them to move them, so I've got them widened up. It's 6 foot across there. Here on our farm, we're on the top of a hill, and a lot of it's rough and rocky and steep. So I go up and down, or you know, diagonally, but I do feel a lot more stable. The tires were loaded with beet juice, and it's just a really good stable tractor. The ROPS here is a fold down ROPS, so you just pull a couple pins out, it'll fold over. I did add some additional lighting. It didn't come with a rear work light or forward facing work lights, other than the front lights. It has high and low range, or high and low beams, which are great, but the bucket kind of blocks that sometimes. In the wintertime, I'm doing a lot of plowing up here on the farm, so I needed some extra lighting. Now the dealership would be glad to sell you some extra lighting, but you're really going to pay dearly for that. So I, you know, spent a lot of time in the military with electronics. I'm familiar with electronics. I'm good with electrical. It only took me a short time to find the feed for the lights, and then I just tapped into that and added some lighting. The canopy, I think I bought on Amazon. It's a wider one than some of them. I wish, like the Kubota, you know, it came out a little more because the sun still will get you. But overall, it's great. Seats forward is adjustable front to back, and as you push it back, it goes up a little bit. The armrests here, and I think Mahindra calls it an M comfort seat, and so you can tip it up. You know, I keep this on the cover, but sometimes the wind will blow some snow in there. This is a weird material because I can just take my hand and just wipe it off, and within 3 seconds it's dry. So it's not like vinyl or something where, you know, you still got a wet seat even if you wipe it. I don't know what it's made out of, but it's pretty cool. Now this is a shuttle shift. As a field tractor, I really wanted a shuttle shift. Hydrostatic Great for front and back loader work. That's not what this tractor is for. I want to shuttle. I want to put it in a gear and set the throttle and just drive. The hydros, you can set cruise control. You lose a little bit of horsepower with that, and to be honest with you, in my experience, the hydros are probably the best thing on earth for like mowing your lawn, a lot of maneuvering, rototilling your garden, even when you're stopping and backing up, loader work in particular, because you're doing a lot of. But for field work, I'd really prefer this. Now the Kubota that I was looking at had live power. This one has independent. The difference between that is the live power, you push the clutch in halfway, the PTO stops, the tractor stops, the PTO keeps turning, you push it in all the way, everything stops. This one has a separate PTO, so it's a single stage clutch. You don't have to stop the tractor, but you can use the PTO independently of the transmission. A lot of these older tractors like the farm will have you push the clutch in, everything stops. The Kubota I had was an L2501 gear before that, and it didn't have live power, so snow blowing in particular, you start to get bound up, you're getting more snow than you can get with a snowblower. You push the clutch in to shift gears, and then you're stuck. The snowblower would plug up, and I want to be able to slow the tractor down and keep the material moving. Really, the only issue besides this is I think the shuttle on the side, sometimes going in the reverse, is a little stiff, and you can finesse it in, but when it goes back and they get the right part for the loader, I'm gonna have them take a look at that and see. It's probably just an adjustment with the shifter, because it goes forward really fine. You can feel it slide in, but coming back, you gotta just kind of finesse it. Here's your tilt wheel and parking brake release, the clutch on the left, turning brakes on the right. Down here is your four-wheel drive engagement lever, and this here is your differential lock right here. Seat adjust, your remote hydraulics. There's a valve on the back, 3-point hitch up and down. This right here is the loader joystick control, and some of the other manufacturers, they have it over here. This is a little bit more ergonomically correct, because you can put your elbow on the seat and have your hand on here, so I kind of like that. Implement cluster has quite a number of gauges on there. There's tachometer, engine hours, fuel, and there's a bunch of idiot lights for different things. Retractable seat belt, so the seat belt actually goes back in. It's not just flopping all over the place. Armrests go up and down. Adjustable ROPS, which I don't use because I've got a light hanging on it, and the canopy. I added a toolbox on the back because, to be honest with you, I can't put very much in there. This right here just holds the top link up. These are adjustable flex links. I've heard people breaking these. I have been very careful with mine, so I hopefully will not do that. One thing I like about this, as opposed to some of the others, is these are adjustable 3-point. So you push this down and then this comes up, and then it gives you about 4 to 6 inches of play. So you don't have to be right on when you're backing up. You just be pretty close, and then this will pull out, you hook it on and back the tractor up, it clicks back in. Around to the front, a skid steer attachment plate here, and then you just flip these levers up to release it, down to lock it. This is a 3-point plate that's on the front, and I have a round bale spear on it at this point. The fuel is up here. Go around to the back. The other side. I'm a diehard International fan, and so little tidbit of knowledge here. Mahindra back in the 40s used to build International harvesters up until the 1960s, I believe. And if you see some of the older Mahindras from the 90s and early 2000s, they look a lot like the older International harvesters. Here is the PTO engagement. So you push this down, and then there's a knob over there that you turn it on and off. So it's actually got two parts to turn the PTO on. Shifting lever here, and then it's got high, neutral, low range, and then forward and reverse. So you get 8 forward, 8 reverse. And as I said, it goes into neutral and forward really easy, but reverse is a little bit of a struggle. I do like these plexiglass things right here. This keeps the crap from coming up at you, as I do the metal here that stops the debris from coming at you from behind. The loaders are made by Kansas Machinery Works, I believe, for Mahindra. And some people will say, well, you know, it's not made by Mahindra. But to be honest with you, a lot of tractors going back since the beginning of time have had either aftermarket loaders or loaders made by a second party, so I'm not really concerned about that. These loaders were designed by Mahindra for Mahindra, so no problem there. This tractor has a full frame on it, and it also has this frame here, as you can see, going to the back. So the Kubota and the John Deere didn't have that, so it's just a little bit extra strength there. The Mahindra backhoes, they're not a 3-point mount, but they're similar, so it's just very easy to put the Mahindra backhoes on it. And to be honest, I don't own a backhoe. I don't really believe in owning the backhoes for these small tractors. Like, I can use an excavator so much more efficiently. This tractor was built in Japan by Mitsubishi with a Mahindra motor in it, made in India. So the entire tractor, with the exception of the motor, was made in Japan. Now, Mahindra uses what they call an MCRD. It's a Mahindra Common Rail Diesel, and these are a little different than the John Deere and Kubota. One of the reasons I bought this also over the John Deere and Kubota is they didn't add something on the motor to make it Tier 4 compliant. They actually built the motor Tier 4 compliant. So this tractor doesn't go in a regen. You don't need diesel engine, diesel exhaust fuel, I'm sorry. This tractor is almost always in regen, and so Mahindra spent a lot of money designing this motor, and I'm told it runs a little hotter to burn off the gas, and it has what they call like an EGR valve in it, exhaust gas something, I forget the name of it, sorry. But it takes basically makes it Tier 4 compliant before it even comes out of the motor. So it's a Tier 4 compliant motor. It's not a tractor that was Tier 3 and they added something on it afterward. So I'm really comfortable with that. My nephew has a John Deere, and it goes into regen, and you have to kind of wait for it to finish its thing. So again, this is Tom at Ledgemere Farm. If this video has been useful, or if you want to hear more, please subscribe and like our channel. Thank you.